Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue. I'm going to hand this microphone to a gentleman who is a legend. I read my script wrong there. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Phil Collins, please give him a very large round of applause because he is going to entertain you and won't be able to hear you when you're cheering him along over the next 2 weekends. Phil, welcome to Barbados.
Thank you very much. It's
Closer.
Great to be here.
Now, your silly old Mark II Escort thingy.
That old historic car.
Old historic Mark II Escort thing there. You know, even from this angle, and I can only see one corner of it. Doesn't look as historic as its owner, frankly. So, you know, it looks a bit new in its way.
Well, the body shell is like all Mark II Escorts. It's about 30 years old.
Yeah.
But it's been in the workshop for quite a long time. It's had one or two modern bits and pieces screwed into it. And so the description WRC Mark II Escort
isn't far. Yes. Now look, Phil, you've had two totally different rally careers.
Yes.
What, you mean the one you're about to embark on now? Oh, you're right. Okay. Back in the late 70s and early 80s, you were a world-class works driver. You were in with the Jimmy McRae's and all of those people. You were a regular winner of events in the British Championship. You nearly won every championship in the universe it's possible to nearly win. And once you'd nearly won it the year before, you went out of your way to nearly win it the year after. But you won a tremendous number of events. But you had two parallel things going on at the time. You as a driver, the prep business. You won the contract to prep David Llewellyn's would have been a Celica, wasn't it, for the British Championship? And all of a sudden, prep business being works prep business and driver being different companies, works driver, didn't work, did it?
No, Peter Ashcroft made me a promise, verbally only, that I could continue to drive that pink Sierra when we got the Toyota contract. Sadly, when the story figured in Autosport, it said Llewellyn and Collins for Toyota. That coincided with a promise from Ford to give Gwyndaf Evans a car and Stig rolling it in Sweden.
Yes, and possibly one or other of those was in writing rather than the verbal that you would. I didn't say that.
No, but that's,
you know, God rest Ashcroft's soul. But so you then sort of, I mean, you'd had quite a good fun career up to then because, you know, you've now got a historic Opel Ascona 400 because you rallied an Opel Ascona 400 in period, so to speak. And you had a Mantra as well, I would imagine, pre-Ascona. And so then, oh, you're not a works driver anymore. Well, that's fine. But we're preparing the car, so you're still going to rallies and you're enjoying yourself. And then, was it your brother who had a Mark II?
He had a Mark II briefly. And then he had another one, and he started up again. He took a gap, and then he said, Phil, I've just bought this, and I'm going testing at Phil Price's in Wales. And he said, we want to come along on a Sunday morning? I said, fine. So I went up there and I did 3 laps in the passenger seat. He's like, get out of there. Give me those handlebars.
And that was that?
And I said, you know, and I did a couple of laps, and I loved it, and I said, why not? So I turned out on the way home, if you remember, you've got a good brain, for Roger Chilman, who was
my wife doesn't say that.
No, well, she probably wouldn't, but she wouldn't recognise the motorsport features in it.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, Roger Chilman, on the way home, I called in to have a cup of coffee. What are you doing up here? Brother Mark II Escort. He said, oh, I'm trying to sell one of those. I said, well, let's have a look at it then. So
is that it?
And I thought, well, why not? 10 grand with the Mark II Escort, turn the collar up, hope nobody recognises me. And go
now, of course, this was a while ago. And so if we glance over there, we're not exactly thinking about 10 grand worth of Mark II Escorts anymore, are we? Not that I wish to embarrass you, your bank manager, or the Welsh national debt.
But you know how it goes.
Yes, quite.
I actually did a few rallies in that, and on a snowy event, I went off in a small way, and the steering wheel spun in my hand and I broke my wrist in 4 places.
Right.
So I sold the car and admitted to the world and to the wife that I'm too old for this game. I'm never going to go rallying again.
Oh, so that's why. Oh, that's why you're on your third. I'd missed that bit of the history.
So 6 months later, I'm scouring the pages of the Motorsport News or Motoring News.
And you're still married to the same woman at this point, because this becomes even more confusing as time goes on.
She's put up with me and my motorsporting for a long time, as yours.
Yes, quite.
And so I did it all again. Here we are.
Now, this little baby over here, we won't go into too much detail, but it does sort of sit down at the back a little bit like a World Rally car.
It's the only common feature with a non-Mark II Escort, really, the rear end, which is independent.
Really?
Because the 2.5 litre Millington that's in there breaks axle diffs, Atlas axles. So we put a 9-inch diff in it.
Right.
And the best way to do that was out of an old Group A Escort Cosworth, mount it with a cradle, make some shafts, sketch on the back of a fag packet,
right,
and make independent suspension.
Okay, now, lots of people in Barbados know who you are. See, what happens now, this internet thing, you see, somebody says, here, there's a bloke called Phil Collins coming to do Rally Barbados, and they all say, I thought he was a guitarist.
Yes.
So once we've got over that, well, yes, once we've got over that bit of the problem, we then have the, let's Google him.
Yeah.
So they Google him. And what they find is footage on YouTube of a bloke called Phil Collins having very big accidents.
I know, but you...
But no, wait. The common feature in these big accidents is that Nicky Grist is sitting next to you. Now, I want to know why it is that you only have a decent accident when you have the short fellow with you.
I guess it's under pressure to perform as his driver had always performed on other days.
Because he's been in possibly more decent rally accidents alongside the Great Lakes. I justify that
to myself, but really, in both occasions, it was just two silly accidents. In the Ascona...
And it was a brand new car both times, wasn't it?
Yes.
Because didn't you do that with him in there?
I did that with first event, West Cork.
Yes.
Gravel, crash.
Yes.
Nicky Grist, first day,
now then,
Sunday morning.
So, the next stage down from that is that the rally fans here, who are extremely knowledgeable sort of fellows, and fellow S's, have now worked out, therefore, that if you find a piece of tarmac you don't understand, you're going to be halfway up a palm tree. This clearly is not plan A.
Well, no, but it all encourages them to stand a little bit further back off the side of the road.
No, very little encourages them to stand a little bit further back, frankly. But Mr. Brannigan obviously is much more of a calming influence on you than...
Much more cautious man.
Than the small fellow.
Yes, because Nicky doesn't know caution, because Colin wouldn't listen to him if he used the word caution.
Added to which, of course, in the final stages of Nicky's career as a co-driver, he couldn't see a thing anyway.
Absolutely.
Because he was lying down on the floor and wasn't allowed to look out of the car, other than at the tops of the trees.
That's right.
Where he was probably heading in the first place. So, had you ever been to Barbados before you arrived?
No.
No, this hasn't been a holiday thingy.
No.
Oh no, you probably go to sort of Pwllheli or somewhere, don't you, for your holidays? That's in Wales, by the way, for those of you who don't understand. It's all right,
Even the Welshman wouldn't understand that.
My father built a buffing holiday camp there, so I remember where Pwllheli is. So, no holiday, so you've never been to Barbados before. How long have you been here?
Only a day.
A day. Okay, first day impressions then, what do you think?
Well, everybody I see tells me that the roads are like glass.
Right.
We went up to Greg's last night and took a wrong turn because we'd been given instructions to find the house he lived in 3 years ago. And apparently that was one of the stages. And it scared me to death. It was raining.
No, it didn't.
And it
was raining.
It was broken. I've never seen so much broken tarmac. It wasn't really appropriate to call it a tarmac road.
So
it was an ex-tarmac road.
You have only been here a day, haven't you? Oh, much learning, Phil. Much learning to be done.
Everybody says this.
Sunday isn't so bad, actually, because that's been sort of recently tarmacked, and it looks like what you might consider to be a road. But come on, I mean, in recent years, most of what you've done, which has caught the eye and which you've really enjoyed, has been tarmac stuff, Isle of Man, Wales, Ireland. Yeah.
I mean, I love Ireland a bit. I've been going there for now. I think it's 28 years we established today. Killarney was the first time I went to Ireland in a Mark II Escort, so I haven't progressed much in 28 years. It's gone from 2 litre to 2.5.
Good Lord. Yes, up 25% in all that time. So what do you think? What do you think's going to happen over the next...
I really don't know. I can't begin to judge it until I've done a recce. Well, I've had a proper look at the stages and made an assessment, and I guess if it stays dry, then we will quickly adapt to how much grip there is. And whilst that will vary a bit according to surface, it won't vary much, I guess. But when it rains, I judge that there is a massive potential for drama and accidents, and we have to try and avoid them.
That's a very long and rather grandly delivered sentence. I hope we are recording this, aren't we? Because I rather liked that. I shall be using a phrase of the... What was it? Massive potential. You're very good. You're clearly enjoying yourself. It's great to have you here. I hope that we'll get a lot more opportunities over the next couple of weeks to put microphones in front of you. Ladies and gentlemen, a legend of tarmac rallying Britain, Mr. Phyllis Collins.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to take a bit of a break for a moment, if you just want to put just a little music on while I take a deep breath.
rallyfm.net